Hi, I'm Sadia Davis. I am here, the director of the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. Today is our second Industry Talks, and today we are very privileged to be joined by hip hop's legends, and I'm going to allow them today to really talk to you about their process. So just to give those of you who are new to the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, I want to let you know that we are about providing resources, events, boot camps, and because our location at 2112 Studios, we're all sheltered in place, we've had to convert those live events into this virtual space. So please stay tuned as we roll out 9 different industries of entertainment with industry talks. And today is music. So I'd like to introduce you to Toxic and Twista.
Hey.
Hey,
What's up?
Hey.
How was everybody?
So I'm really excited that we've got these leaders and legends in the game to be able to come to you straight. And as I said, today is a producer's fireside chat. So what I'm going to have you guys do is give a little bit of an origin story. Let's let our listeners know, like, what inspired you from the beginning. We'll take a quick moment to talk about that. And then also, for some people who don't know, there's a difference between the music manager and the music producer. So I also want you guys to speak about that and then how you guys came together and talk about your process. So welcome, Toxic and Twista.
What's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, go ahead, T.
I'm Twista. I started in the music some years back. Me and Toxic started working right around the time of Adrenaline Rush time. You know, Toxic, you can kind of lead it off.
Yeah.
Toxic, can you hear us?
So one of the reasons why it's funny, you know, Twista, you are a legend and we all know it. But what happens sometimes is people don't always know, I don't know, when you were like 5 or 7, or was music a part of your family? Like, what led you to kind of start? Because it was a while ago, I know, but that origin story is really important to some of our listeners.
Just really started like listening to music when I was young, and listening to hip hop music when I was young, and it was something that I just wanted to do. You know, I wanted to get involved in, and it was at a young age. Maybe around 18 is when I first signed a record deal.
Okay.
So it was very, very young. I was into it very young, and I got a chance to experience it and go through certain things at that young age. And by the time I got signed again to Atlantic Records, later on is when I started to know the business in the way that I felt like I really should have to flourish, because I felt like I was a little before my time in the beginning. And the second time around, I kind of had my head together and knew the business a little better, and was able to wrap my head around it. So Atlantic Records, when I came out with Adrenaline Rush, that project, I had Twista in my mind, like well-rounded as far as what type of artist I was and what type of sound I wanted to present.
Nice. Thank you. Yes. And so it sounds like you guys came up around the same time. So Toxic, tell us a little bit about, you know, how you start. What was that motivation for you when you started, before you met Twista?
Yeah, you know what? First of all, I couldn't hear nothing he was saying. I don't know why, but on my end, but just me. I started off as an MC, and I was actually rapping. I was on the south side of Chicago doing my thing with this group called the Ill State Assassins, and me and Twista had already knew each other. We kind of grew up together in the same hood on the west side. And I had kind of ventured off and went to the south side and started rocking with another little group out there. And that's what kind of inspired me to start doing music, to doing, you know what I'm saying, to doing my thing on the rap side. But then me and Twista used to always meet in the hood, and my cousin Sammy D introduced us, and then we became friends ever since then. And then we started battling each other, rapping in the hood together. you know, and that just started me on the rap side. And then eventually I moved over into the production side again with Twista kind of guiding me along the way, and us working on you know, having this label together called Legit Ballin'. And then we started working on Kamikaze, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and that is a beautiful history. Thank you. You know, it's really interesting. You know, yesterday we were talking about film, and you start to see where there are these alignments where those relationships are so important. Like you met early, you kind of went and did some other things, and y'all came back, and then you have this full circle. So that's beautiful because that helps individuals out there understand. So as I said, this is really a conversation between the two of you. So I want to make sure, one, you guys, you can hear each other. I'm going to sit back. I'll address some of the partnerships and things that we're working on together with Maps for Music in a bit. But I just wanted, you know, the CCE, Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, really helps provide resources to individuals with companies. And so for those artists and musicians who are out there who are starting exactly like a Maps for Music or a fashion line or whatever those other things are, that as an entrepreneur, you're taking it to the next level. That's really what this conversation is about. But just because so many people love you guys as artists, I want to honor that legacy by having you guys talk about a little bit about your process of working together as artists and then how you work together in business.
Absolutely. I mean, go ahead. I can't really hear Twista at all. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear him at all.
Let me
I
see.
got everything turned up. I don't know what it could be on my end.
I know you can hear him, Sadia, and he probably can. You hear me, T?
Yeah.
So we can hear you.
I can hear you, Sadia. I can't hear Twista though.
Okay. We'll see if we can fix that. So Toxic, if you just want to, because we can hear you, talk a little bit about that that dynamic relationship of the producer and talent, or how you guys work together, and then I'll have Twista talk about it as well. And maybe if we pull me down and see if it'll help, and I'll mute my mic. We'll see how that goes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, as far as the dynamic between artist and producer, like I could tell you, like for me, a lot of my knowledge of production comes from working with an artist like Twista in particular, because he kind of made me better over the course of the years, you know what I'm saying, really teaching me how to produce by just sitting in the studio with him and being under fire, I would say, and having to actually uh, you know, bring my skills up to the level that they needed to be in the studio with an artist like him. So and not only that, it was just always a challenge because he was already Twista when I started working with him. You know what I'm saying? So he was an incredible artist at that point, and just him every day, just kind of guiding me and showing me the things that he liked, and then a lot of times just kind of um, not liking a lot of the material that I brought to him too, which challenged me to make it better. You know what I'm saying? Instead of me going into a shell and being like, man, you don't like that, I was always wanting to make it better for him too. So that's the dynamic he brought to the table for me, and just us just working together and developing a chemistry of knowing of learning each other, you know what I'm saying, as we work together. So now when it comes to making Twisted music, I know exactly what it takes to make the type of music that he likes, you know what I mean?
Right.
And still to this day, you know, he challenged me too, because he's still, you know, I'm still learning the things that he liked even today, and we always talk a lot, we communicate a lot, and it's just a beautiful relationship, you know what I'm saying, that we developed, because now we kind of know each other, and I've kind of got to the level that he needs me to be, even at this point, you know what I'm saying. And now I'm helping other artists and other producers to come along with me to write for them, to produce for them too now. So it's a whole different dynamic, but definitely being in the studio with him has, you know, upped my game.
That's dope. Can you hear me? I can't hear.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. It's great. I mean, I think just navigating this space, Twista, I think I'll let, I will let Toxic speak and then you speak because you can speak to what he said, even though he can't hear you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We figure that part out.
Okay.
So it's really important what you just said because you spoke about him challenging you, right? And sharpening your knife, if you will. So Twista, talk to a little bit about like what that is in you, whether that's perfection or you have an ear or.
I mean, I think when people work together, they should know each other's vibe, even though it may be something that at the time, whether it's my project or Toxic's project or what we're doing, you got to know the person that you're working with. And I think me and Toxic's dynamic uh, works so well because he knows me as an artist and I happen to know him as a person as well as a producer. So I know his element and where he comes from. And so I think our chemistry as friends and our personalities being able to bounce off each other in that aspect also helps us when it comes to making music because we can playfully make music sometimes and not have to be so serious. And sometimes that's where the best music comes from. So we can be very skilled, perfectionists, and professionals about what we do, but we can still come up with it in a more organic, playful type of fashion, which always helps us make more music. And that's one of the things that I love about working with Toxic.
Oh my God, how do I translate that to Toxic? Man, that's deep. Tox, did you hear any of it?
I didn't hear it. I couldn't hear it.
Okay, we got to figure this out. We've got 12 viewers. Bear with us. We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we have giants on the screen, and I want to just make sure that we're able for you guys to hear it. So, basically, I have a question here that I want to ask. Twista, how important is it to an artist that they find the right producer? Once you have a synergy, is it hard to share your producer with other artists?
I think it can be sometimes, depending on where you are in your career as far as your maturity. But then also you can be as mature as possible. You still have deadlines and goals that you need to meet that a producer that you are using music from his time may be hindered in some type of way. And you got deadlines and you're like, man, I wish he didn't have to work with that person or that person.
Mm-hmm.
So it can get in the way sometimes. And I think definitely when you have a producer artist chemistry, those two guys should know where home is and what the foundation is so that they will never have those type of problems. You know what I mean? So when you start out working with a producer, I would say know the time and availability of that person that you're working with before you turn that into a long-term relationship, because later on it can be some problems. So definitely you want to have that dynamic mastered, and you want to make sure that you don't have to get into deep arguments with your producer like, man, your time, I need to get a session, I need you now, come back to the Midwest, so you want to have that iron.
That's deep because, yeah, I mean, look, the end of the day, it's about integrity. If you can't trust and rely on that person,
Yeah,
and I would even think that like loyalty comes into it, and at what point does one get that priority, right? That's probably another part of the game without showing you though that you're not a priority. Let me ask you, Toxic, how do you roll with that piece?
I didn't hear him.
Okay, so I'm saying to you, juggling different artists, right?
Okay.
Everybody's a priority.
Right.
How do you negotiate and juggle which artist you're going to work with as a priority without making them feel like somebody else is a priority?
I don't have a real answer for that. However, I just do it naturally because I think that all of the artists are priority, and you have to treat them like that when you're working with them. You know what I'm saying? So, just for instance, if I'm working with Keisha Cole or Twista, it's the same thing. in the sense of, me prioritizing them at the moment when I'm working with them. So I have to make them feel like, there's nobody else in the room. There's nobody else I'm really working with, or none of that. You know what I'm saying? And that type of thing. But then sometimes I try to bring those elements together and get them to work together too on certain particular things. So, like me and Twista done had multiple conversations with Keisha Cole, and we've even worked with Selena Johnson, one of the other artists that I work with a lot. And we've put those synergies together and kind of made some magic happen. So,
Nice.
but the reality, you know what I'm saying, like Twista's, me and him have a different type of relationship. So we talk about everything. So he knows who I'm working with and things like that. So it's a different dynamic with him and I, because we talk about everything. So it'll never get mistaken that he's not a priority, because we know that, collectively within ourselves what's going on. So, but yeah, that's that, saying that's how that goes.
Okay, so someone's asking a question and I gotta ask, because it kind of leads based on what you just said. Toxic, have you ever created a track that an artist wants, but you don't think it's a good fit for them? What aspects go into knowing when a track is hot for one artist, but won't work for another?
I mean, really it depends on the artist and what they like. So sometimes I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like, I make tracks and I feel like they might be dope for an artist. Like I done did it plenty of times with Twista. I done sat in the studio with him and like, T, this the song I got for you, dog. This the beat I got for you. And he'll listen to it, and sometimes he'll just bust up laughing at me like, nah, Tox, that ain't it. And I'll be like, damn, I spent all that time on that beat. But sometimes it's basically you have to, I know my artists that I work with now, but then some people I don't necessarily know them. So it's just about, kind of learning the artist, you know what I'm saying? And then letting them kind of decide what they want, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times as producers, we know, but then sometimes we might have a beat that we might have not even think is dope enough, and we'll let them hear it and they'll be like, that's the one, you know what I mean?
Right.
So sometimes it's just about letting them kind of like catching a vibe, you know what I'm saying? But like with Twista, I kind of know what he like and what he don't like now, you know what I mean? So I kind of know what he like. But with other artists, you just kind of have to kind of let them fill it out.
Nice. That's great. So yeah, let us, I'm gonna sit back and you guys just have a conversation, like just talk amongst yourselves. Oh shoot, can you hear us now? Can you
I
hear
still can't hear Twista.
Let me do this. Let me ask you, I'm gonna ask you to step out of the room and come on back. Let me see if by you logging out and coming right back into the studio, if that'll help us, because I can lead it, but I wanted everybody to be able to see your dynamic.
Yeah, okay, let me try that. Hold on one second.
Cool. Yeah, so this is really interesting. I'm from the Bay Area, and I started out in music production as a PA, working backstage at the Paramount Theater in Oakland. And so, most people when I talk to us, they're like, hip hop, you are a hip hop head? Like it doesn't equate for them. But I am true to the core, And so so I really, it's been a pleasure to have you guys on with the CCE with Maps for Music, and we'll get into that. But I just wanted you to understand this dynamic over here. And so, I know with you being the celebrity and artist that you are, and is it the fastest rapper? Is that the title?
Yeah.
Right.
People know me for being the fastest rapper in the world.
Yeah. So, that's why I wanted to really give this time for you and Toxic to talk, because when it's like a secret recipe. Not to say I'm asking you to give up the secret juice. I'm just saying, like, people who are in business, and especially now that the music industry has shifted, when those relationships have been figured out and it works, it's imperative, and I know you guys are probably sharing some of that with the students with Maps for Music, but I just wanted to share some of that today. So hopefully he'll be back with us, but speak a little bit about that. Like what inspired maybe Maps for Music, or what have you found with that? Oh, here he comes. Let's see what happens. But you can just start talking, Toxic. We'll find out if he can hear you.
Well, Maps is something that me and Toxic, we both. Can you hear me now, Toxic?
Yep, I got him.
Okay. Yeah, but it's something that me and Toxic started together. He initially presented the idea to me. I thought it was a fabulous idea, and what better way to see your city flourish than to be part of a school to help teach them how to navigate through the music industry and answer some of the questions the way they want them answered, and them to actually be able to use the information given them. So, we took a lot of steps to get to the level we wanted to get to. And each time we would have an achievement with the school, we would say, wow, to ourselves and realize that it was being a success. And we would come with more ideas and more things to implement into what we were doing with the process. And even now, it's still turning and flourishing into something that's big. Even though we had this dent in this situation, we still now have the time to sit back and refine everything. And when we come back again, when everybody is able to move around, Maps will be moving and up and strong with the dopest curriculum and dopest things involved with the students to be able to not only gain the knowledge that they need, of course, the way they would from any college program, also get that hands-on vibe and that knowledge directly from me, Toxic, and some of the other mentors that we are getting involved with the whole Maps program, so they can see how to do things from our point of view, and not just a professional point of view, but what a person would actually do when they are in certain situations, and as well as making dope music. A lot of good people meeting with each other and interacting with each other, able to create music. We're working on a Maps project right now for students, and I'm sure that everybody is going to be working on songs together and really flourishing with the Maps program in the way they want to.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's yeah, like he said, I mean, he really put it in a nutshell, but it's like, we started off the program and we wanted to definitely teach the business, and we wanted to also teach them from a mentorship perspective, because we noticed in the industry that particularly in Chicago, there was not a lot of programs. Of course, we're developing them now, like with the CCE program, and everything we're doing over at 2112 too. But we there wasn't a lot of programs that were consistent for people to have. You know what I'm saying? It was every month. We was doing something with Next Showcase with Mark Hubbard, who was also one of our partners, and we was doing these enrichment classes. And I was hearing a lot of the questions that they were asking in these enrichment classes when I was on the panel, and I was amazed by the stuff that they didn't know. I was like, damn, you don't know about publishing, you don't know about licensing, and you don't know about how to get a good manager, how to get a good attorney, and what the attorney does. And those things just sparked my interest. And I was like, the problem is not that they don't know, but sometimes they don't have access to the knowledge on a consistent basis. So that's when I approached Twista, and I was like, man, why don't we just start a school to teach the business, but also teach it from the perspective of what we know, and really getting hands-on with them, with these people here in the city, because that's what they want. And like Twista said, when we initially started, we just thought it was going to be teaching the business, and we was going to do an album with the kids, and we was going to be this thing that we were doing, and they was going to learn the business. And it turned into this thing that they created themselves, the camaraderie and just talking to each other, vibing with each other. They started their own Instagram chat groups and Facebook chat groups, and just going create music together in a way that we didn't think that they were going to do. And that led me to understand that the in-person experience is what we got to keep going. Yeah, virtually we can teach them, and I want to still give them that experience virtually, but we got to get back in class with these kids, man, because that's what they want, and we're excited to do that moving forward.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you on that note, because everybody has had to make a shift, right? As the industry not only has halted, which is giving more artists the ability to be available, right? To be mentors for Maps for Music. How have you been able to like use Zoom or some other kind of format so that you guys can have some kind of keep the energy up?
Actually, we about to do that now. Like, we're about to use one of the platforms to start back up the classes virtually next week.
Good.
On the 16th, and we'll be finishing off our March cohort class this month, and then we're gonna go, and then ultimately we're gonna be doing some online test tutorials and stuff like that, and then our goal is to get back in person. So we'll probably start the in-person classes back again in July or August, and hopefully we'll be past this epidemic, and we'll be able to get back where we need to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. And however we can help with the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, I'd be happy to do that, or work with you to make sure that you're able to develop that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's really good. So now that you guys can both hear each other, what I was saying when you logged off, Toxic, was so you guys just have a conversation amongst each other, just like, I mean, it's kind of weird to ask you to do that, like where there's a camera, but I wanted to be able to step out of it, like be a fly on the wall, and just let you guys, vibe and talk or catch up. I don't know if you've talked today. Maybe you have, you haven't, but.
Oh yeah, we talk every day. You know what I'm saying? Like Twista and I, we got a lot of businesses going on and a lot of other things going on as well. So
yeah,
we talk about a multitude of things. Particular, right now we have his album out that's out right now, which is the Lifetime album, which is an incredible album that he created with some writers out of LA with Red Bull. And that album is amazing, you know what I'm saying? And so the whole experience, T, you want to tell them a little bit about how that experience was?
Please.
It was real dope, being able to go out there, work with Red Bull, and see and meet new artists that they had put together for me to work with, and then they already were familiar with my music, but then to get in tune with this process and to know that they were going to get in and work with me. When I walked in there, they were ready. I sat down and we started talking and vibing, and they caught a vibe for me as an artist, and I kind of knew how to lead right into a vibe so that they could write good music and work for me the way they needed to. And we all collaborated and felt each other out and really banged out some dope songs. We actually created more songs than we used for the Lifetime EP, which some will be used for a later project for me. But it was a dope process, and I really work with those artists and producers. Yeah.
And a lot of times, like with that, T, like people don't understand. Like for instance, with that particular project, I ain't really had nothing to do with that one. Like as far as the production go, but I did have something to do with it because when you brought the records back, we did our normal thing and kind of listened to them, vibe with them, seeing what we liked and didn't like. You know what I'm saying, and what we was gonna put on the album. Got the album order. You know what I'm saying. I mixed the records. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So for producers out there, it ain't always necessarily when you work with artists, you gotta do everything, you know what I'm saying? Like you could do some things, you know what I'm saying, and still create, be important or useful in the project, you know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah, definitely. And even before I went out there, we had a conversation about the process. So I went in with our collective vibe, and then when I came back, it still was our collective vibe as far as the outcome. But that was just that particular project. Usually, people know, we are in it together, and we have a input as much as possible. But that just showed the versatility on different ways, as far as the way we are able to work when we can't do it in the same room or time frame when we thought it was going to go that way, as well as so we were able to work remotely, as well as me being able to get in the studio and work outside of my element. Like I'm used to just working in I don't know whose phone that might be making noise. Somebody's phone or audio making extra noise. But yeah, I don't know if I mean, I was able to work with those artists real good, even though I'm used to working in the studio with you. Like we even teaching the artists in the class, you got to be able to step outside of your element and still work. Whereas I'm comfortable just working on one vibe with you. I was put in a situation where I had to get in front of other people in a whole separate element, and I didn't have the time to not be comfortable. I had to adapt to the situation and make the best of the situation, and it turned out to be a beautiful thing. So that's one
Yeah, cause
part.
I've been even with those songs, like I was vibing, and it kind of gave me a good vibe on some other directions we could go to. You know what I'm saying? Like with the music, and then I know we picked a couple of those records to use for the new album that's coming out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you want to talk about those yet. You know what I'm saying? Do you want to talk about the new joints we working on, or nah, not yet?
I mean, I think we're still early in the process. I
Yeah,
mean, I think it's
okay.
cool to let everybody know that, we're working on two projects to be released during this time and what's going on. So I think it's dope that we got music in the can that is able to be released. And this is the importance of filling up your catalog and making sure that you got projects or music to release in these times when you can't move around or be hands on. So I think that's what's dope is that we actually got something that we can work on and release when we're not able to get move around like this. So we want everybody to be looking forward to what we got to offer.
Yeah, and just also the fact that, you know what I'm saying, like for us, like one of the most important things is just, our chemistry. So, a lot of people don't know me and Twista, we get on the phone like every single day, you know what I'm saying? Like talking about our next strategic moves, like what we trying to do uh to kind of build the brand. And a lot of times, particularly like with me, like we a team. So, we know that Twister is, even though I'm producer Toxic and I got a lot of accolades, I did a lot of things. We have a brand here with Twister that we trying um to make big the make the brand bigger, you know what I'm saying, than what it is, even what it is now, because the brand is very big now, but we want to continue to expand the brand. So me and him talk every day about different ways to actually make the brand bigger, not just by doing music, but it's so many other aspects to this thing that we doing to to build the brand. So we do a lot of that too every day, right, Cab. Like just a lot of brand building conversations. You know what I'm saying as well.
Definitely. Every
Yeah.
day, just coming up with new ways to get it. To get it in the
Right.
game.
Right.
Try to
And yeah.
create
And
new sources and ways.
yeah, and then a lot of times people don't understand that it's still like, even though we got a lot of stuff going on, there's still a lot of challenges based on new technology and new things going on that we try to make sure we stay up to date on and keep our head in the game too, so that we can actually, what I'm saying, make those type of moves too. You know what I'm saying? So it's always a learning. We always learning every day, I would say. You know what I mean? And we always trying to create new and innovative ways to actually build the brand and monetize on this music thing and other things as well. Like, and don't just, a lot of times people think they got to stay in the box of just music. You know what I'm saying? No, you gotta. We was just listening to that Mike Will thing this morning where he was talking about, he trying to get in, he more focused in on real estate. It's a bigger plan to this than just music. You know what I'm saying? So, that's some of the other stuff that I know we be kind of digging in on too.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah.
yeah, but definitely, new music to offer. We got to get the maps program back up and running. But like I said, it's about being innovative and being able to adapt to the times and what's going on. Situations like this made everybody sit back and think of how to move, how to navigate. I'm having to be more technically savvy at my place because I never thought that I would be put in the situation to have to. So now I have to learn how to make sure I got the hook up in front of me technically to do what I can do to promote myself in other aspects when I would always rely on toxic. Yo, hook this up for me. Yo, hook that up for me. And now I got to learn new things, so you definitely want to be able to adapt when you are in this game and, step outside of your, so that you can get it.
Yeah, and like just speaking on that, like we trying to definitely get more involved too, like just with the city of Chicago and just everybody around, because I think that even with this new epidemic going on, it's like um and I was talking to Frame about this too, like um yeah, the kids want to hear like the black community is suffering from this COVID-19 situation now, and it's like sometimes they need to hear it from people like Twista or some of these more major artists too that they respect, to tell them stay home, to tell them wear a mask, protect yourself. This thing is very serious. You know what I'm saying? And the only way for us to kind of get back to normal is if everybody kind of take it serious and really listen to, man, just stay at home, you know what I'm saying, and protect yourself, you know what I mean, and do the right thing and listen to what these people are saying, because if not, man, it's you're putting other people in danger, you know what I'm saying? People who are more vulnerable, you might not get sick from it, but somebody else in your family might, and we see it now spreading like crazy, you know what I mean? And that's why we sitting at the house, ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It's serious, Jack. You know what I'm saying? So
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, anything else you want to talk about, T, or you know what I mean?
Man.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
I mean, as far as like what we got going on too, what I'm saying, like musically, like we got, everything is about continuing to push. Like you can't let a situation like this kind of boggle you down either. And sometimes in situations like this is a um this is a unique moment in time in history. You feel me? Like
yeah,
things are about to change. Like nothing is going to be the same. So when you think about that as a creative and as an innovator and an entrepreneur, you got to know that you got to think, you got to have that entrepreneur spirit. You got to get creative now. This is a new moment in life where certain businesses that were flourishing are not going to be able to do what they did before. So, what type of products or new creative, innovative products can we create? You know what I'm saying? That can go with the times now moving forward. You know what I'm saying? So, we have to think about that. Not only, well, specifically in the music, you know what I'm saying? Like, what can we create that's more innovative? I know everybody shifting to doing the virtual thing and doing Zoom, and you know what I mean? That's where everybody go to. But let's start thinking out the box too. You know what I mean? And I think me and Twisted, like we talk about that all the time, like just thinking a little bit more out the box than just doing what everybody else is just going to. You know what I'm saying? Gravitating to. You know what I mean?
yeah. And somebody is asking like if we're gonna do like if I'm gonna do something for Chicago independent artists, and that to me is what Maps is about. That's why we talking about it. Like, even a question while I'm explaining it to Maps, I mean explain the Maps, let me make sure to get it straight so people understand. Independent artists in Chicago, if you want to know more about the music business, if you want to be able to navigate through the music business better than the way you have been, or just to get involved, Maps for Music is the place to look. Musicians, artists, producers, songwriters, what it stands for, and it's a great program. Um, Something that talks with me, together. We got other partners involved. We got a crew. All of us are getting our thing in. Maps is definitely something that you want to look into if you're an independent artist from Chicago.
Yeah, and the difference, and just to tag on to what he's saying, like the difference with Maps is it's a hands-on program where there's a mentorship program with it. It's business, but it's also the camaraderie of different artists and different people you can meet. And I tell the students, one of the most important parts about the music industry that I've learned over my years is it's all about relationships. It's all about building relationships. So if you can get in a room with 30 people and build great relationships, you already on your way. You know what I'm saying? And it was just one of those things, like with the Maps program, I seen all these kids got in the room and they was building their own relationships. So that's a big part of why Maps is so unique. You know what I mean? And you need to actually jump in with us, when we start the program back up. Is that another question? I can't see it.
How does one get lyrics to an artist, get in on a songwriting scene? I mean, definitely social media is what you got to use to promote yourself so that people can reach to you, and it also does help to hit people up. Hit people up in their DMs and let them know what you got to offer. Too. So that's the great part about social media platform is you always have to try to get in touch with a manager or deep into someone's circle to get a hold of. Where now anybody you decide you hit, no matter how famous, you have a direct contact to hit them, And if they are interested, then you will get a return call. And I suggest advertising yourself too as a songwriter so that people will partake.
Yeah, I want to speak to that because that's what I spoke about earlier. Some people don't understand the difference between the manager and the producer. And I would love for just Twista, if you could talk about your relationship, because you have a manager that's separate from Toxic, and so that helps some individuals understand that distinction.
Well, a producer works on the music, the manager works on the business.
Yeah,
that's the simplest way to keep it put right there.
straight at.
Yeah, even though they have to intertwine sometimes, the producer has to know aspects about the music industry to be able to gain everything that he wants to gain from his work. You know what I mean? He or she wants to gain from his work. And a manager has to know about music to be able to know how to communicate and work the business and pertains to working with the producer for his or her art. You know what I mean? So they definitely work hand in hand, but you want to keep the management aspect of what's going on, even though they can be involved in the music to a certain extent. You want to make sure that you are getting the most out of that part of the team for what they're able to do, and the producer for what they're able to do. Producer is the one you're in the studio with, locked in with. Sometimes you may not be in the studio with that producer, but when you're getting in your creative vibe, that's when you're more dealing with your producer. When you're in your making money vibe and promoting your brand, staying relevant vibe, then that's when you kind of deal with the management.
Yeah, thank you, Twista, because that helps for individuals who sometimes put the two together, and they could be different people, they could be in different places. I want to draw back to something that you said, and when only for the sound, when one's not talking, we'll just mute our mics. Toxic brought up the fact that the city, right, has a campaign. And actually, I call her Madam Mayor Lightfoot. They have a campaign that says, "I'm not playing," right? And it's the sports and everybody that are trying to, like you said, getting Twista out there in the community for people who can relate and see somebody who looks like them and who vibes the way that they want to vibe to say the same thing. So I think that that's powerful. And I'm glad to hear that you guys are also in a place where you're not just, well, I won't say not just anything, you're doing a lot, but where you're using your celebrity and your talent and your influence for good in the community, because that's huge, right? There were some myths that we need to dispel. So many of us are losing people, and that, I spoke on it yesterday. With the CCE, it's our business to empower and provide resources to artists along 9 industries of entertainment. But it's also kind of a balance of doing this dance during a time where we know that some people are really going through it right now. So, hats off to you guys for being a voice for the community within the community in this city that has a disproportionate amount of individuals who are suffering and who are dying, right? So thank you for that. Also, Toxic, you mentioned Frayne. And yes, DeCase right now, this is the year of music. And for all of our concerts to be canceled and contracts have been rewritten. I call it, it's in the clause, it's called the act of God, but it's not called that in the clause. It's called like the Parisian something. It has some kind of name. You guys know what I'm talking about. Can you speak a little bit to, we've been talking about business, we've been talking about the importance of relationship and your, trust and integrity in each other. Talk a little bit about what that looks like from like how you think about things legally, because with regards to beats that are made, you guys have that conversation amongst yourselves. I'm gonna step back.
Well, I think as far as like now, like I said, it takes a lot more innovation, just in creatively, but also business wise. You gotta kind of know how to navigate through this as well. Look, everybody taking a hit with this as far as things we was planning on doing and money we had coming in and everything, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of relief funds for artists and musicians too that you need to look out for. where you can go get some money at this particular point to kind of help, while this pandemic is going on. But Twista tell you right now, like, I mean, we had shows canceled, a bunch of stuff. I mean, it's no secret.
Yeah, shows are gonna be canceled. Yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
yeah. We had some definitely trying to figure out how to get around the situation, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I think, like even Erica Badu, she had did a concert and she spoke to it like, doing shows is one of the main ways that's artists make a living. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there's publishing and things like that, but what I'm saying, when you take away an artist's chief sense way of making money, what I'm saying, it'll become difficult for anybody to kind of navigate through it. You know what I'm saying? So just being a great business person at this time too, you have to stick with your people too, and figure out creatively like different ways to make money, but also rely on your business people around you, your managers and your attorneys and other people like that to kind of help you navigate through this. Even your accountants and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So because they can kind of guide you in the direction of some of these funds and relief funds and stuff that you can actually kind of that can kind of help too at this particular time. And then the city of Chicago has been very instrumental in just a lot of the things that they've been giving us in resources and stuff like that. And because it's the year of music, and Mayor Lightfoot was already like super engaged with us already, and Frame and arts and culture, you know what I'm saying, in D case was already fully engaged with us. It kind of gave us a little bit of insight before we needed it on what we needed to do. And there's always information posted on DK site uh, for artists to be able to understand what they need to do at this time too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's definitely relief out there. People, especially in the urban community, just have to find out how to get to it, and what's out there, to get to. But I'm definitely seeing a lot of things like artist relief, like for different aspects of what people are going through these situations. I'm seeing relief being put together and offered, but people just have to know how to get it.
Well, I can
Yeah,
tell you
and
that.
for us too, we're about to get a lot more involved. Twista uh, is about to start some campaigns on its own too, and some partnerships that we're developing too, where we're going to be giving away a lot of things too as well to people to help at this time. So be on the lookout for that within the next week or so.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you that the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship on our website and on our Facebook page, every day we're listing the artist funds, Arts Illinois, between the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events case, along with the arts and cultural agencies. There's a lot of advocacy out there. The state has money that's realigned to be able to provide resources for artist relief right now. So, and almost every guild is doing it as well, whether it's a Screen Actors Guild, Directors Guild, individual organizations are putting those funds out there. And so you'll see on our Facebook page that we have a list that'll take you directly to where those resources are. And because the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship works along 9 industries, even things like, chefs who are in need, right? Because restaurants have gone down. But I want to share something with you guys, and I think it's okay to share it publicly. I was having a conversation last night. You guys know Jeff Becker, the attorney. We were saying he had a really great idea to do, I think it's like music while I'm on my couch or something. So like tonight at 7 o'clock, you can jump into that Zoom space, and they're actually having artists perform, and people make a donation to that artist who's performing. So everybody's figuring out a way to innovate during this time. I specifically have my music industry talks on Thursdays because of Mark and Reggie, who throw their Chicago Next showcase on Thursday nights on Instagram Live. I got to tell you, the amount of talent Twista, you guys know, Toxic that comes out of Chicago is ridiculous. And so many of these artists don't always have a platform to show it, and they are showing up. This one sister showed up, Latina sister, I think she's a teacher during the day. She got on there and she started singing. We were like, what? Her voice was just like, the chills started flowing and stuff. So I love that you're coming up with ways to share how you're thinking about innovation, how you're investing in other businesses, because I think, part of what we do is to help our creative entrepreneurs think outside of that box. In fact, we jumped out of the box already. We're like, look, CCE with 2112 and how they do things, our whole thing is to like think differently, right? So this is really impactful. And I think your voices are, like I said, extremely valuable for our local community. But here's the blessing. When I started working, I was like, oh, this is a global organization. Oh, I can call my friends in LA. I can call my friends in New York. We get everybody involved. Scott was like, Sadia, let's just focus on Chicago first, right? Let's focus on Chicago. We're working on music licensing. We're trying to keep the music here. We're trying to keep the talent here, right? But now that we have this, it's global. So I'm saying you might find that I bring on some people from LA, from New York, from Nashville. You guys have any recommendations on people you want to get back on and have a conversation with? I'm totally up for that. But that's how we're having to shift and be able to, pivot quickly and make this talent that you guys are talking about more available and accessible. So I am so happy that you guys created Maps for Music. Toxic, I got to tell you this. So I was sharing with Twista. I don't know if I told you, maybe I did, but I started in entertainment in music production as a PA.
Wow. Okay.
At the Paramount Theater in Oakland.
That's dope.
I was like, you guys will appreciate it. I'm going to tell this story because I think people will appreciate this. You know this. But when artists come to a venue, the venue gets paid cash. And the artists get paid cash, right? So whether it was Faith Evans, Keith Sweat, you name it, I was on production. It was Al Heyman Entertainment, which was coming out of Chicago. That's what's really interesting. So here I am as a production assistant. I couldn't go in the money room until I could, which means that I had been around enough and they trusted me enough that I got to go in the room where they were counting. And it was like, I could smell money. I was like, this room, I've never experienced that where it just smelled like money. But you know what I'm talking about? Like, unless you're in the industry in some kind of back, behind the house position, you don't see those dynamics. And so people just see the front side, but the level of integrity that you guys work with, the amount of trust, security, it's big, right? So, this is our opportunity to share this information on a global space. Again, I love Maps for Music and what you guys are providing in order to be able to reach those individuals who are asking us questions on how to break in. Even though CCE is B2B business, I am about supporting Maps for Music because I understand the value of what it's producing. But I also am excited for you guys right now with the virtual platform that maybe, hopefully not. I mean, I really want to see you guys back at 2112 on the main stage. I want to see and meet the talent. But until then, I think that this is great because you can expand your reach. You might end up having people fly in from Michigan or fly in from wherever to take the Maps Music courses.
Oh yeah. And our goal was always to expand the brand to online anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like we in our business model, that's part of what it was. However, we seen a direct need to help the people in Chicago in a way that we felt that would be more advantageous to them at this particular point. And that was so important to us because we all about Chicago, you know what I'm saying? And we all about our city and really uplifting people in a way that we felt that they weren't being uplifted. And so that's part of where we wanted to start. and then obviously expand the brand online. So yes, I agree with you totally. And we definitely got a wealth of information and a wealth of resources around us to be able uh, to teach. So we looking forward to it.
That's great. Well, I really want to just thank you guys so much for taking your time. I know it's valuable. Listen, we are streaming not just on Facebook, but on YouTube and Periscope. So check your channels. You can rebroadcast, or not rebroadcast. You can watch it again later on YouTube channel. It's the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. By all means, everybody who's been watching or will watch this again, check out the work that Toxic and Twista are doing. We love their music and their performance, but we also love that they are standing up for the community in Chicago and providing resources and giving a voice to people who may not always have a voice. So, gentlemen.
And I wanted to say one thing before we went out, Sadia. Yeah. We're doing the streams with Twista on Friday, every Friday. Yeah. We're going to be doing them on IG Live, and we're doing it in support of a few organizations. Shy Gives Back. Okay. And also all of us fight coronavirus. The CDC, with the CDC, all of us fight coronavirus campaign. So you can give back to both of those organizations. You go to give to CDC .org, and of course Shy Gives Back .org. So yeah, so definitely do that. You know what I mean? And check out Twista on Friday on the quarantine live stream.
Okay, I'm gonna see if we can put that up. Can we put that up? Producer, if we could put that up on the screen, that would be great. There's one other thing I think I just wanted to check my notes and see. Twista, is there anything else? I mean, you guys really touched on some real key facts. You know, one, you step each other's game up. Chemistry is important. Is there anything, sir, you want to say?
Toxic really said it for me as far as us giving back with the CDC and Chicago Gives Back. Everybody tune in and watch the quarantine show going down Friday. I'm glad you had us on this platform because we got to talk about some informal things for the fans and everybody that's looking and listening. And I want to say thanks to all of the fans and everybody. Keep y'all heads up and keep y'all hope up. And we're gonna get this real soon. Everybody stay in the house. It's a little more serious than everybody thinks. Study your science. Don't listen to anybody but the doctors and the scientists, so you can get the real truth about what's going on. Do a little research so that you can stay in the house, be safe, so we can hit our mark, so this can start going downward instead of upward.
Thank you. Yes, I say yes to that. All right, so yes. Stay in the house. I'm not playing. That's what the Mayor's campaign is. Right. I want somebody to say it like that because they keep, like, I'm not playing. No, I'm not playing.
Right.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in person again. I miss your faces and your spirit, but I know that you're there, and I can't wait to see all of the talent that comes up out of Maps for Music. And again, we share a mutual partner with, I always say it wrong, but it's Chicago Next Showcase. Also tonight at 7 p.m., you can log on IG Live. Yep. You can Google, it's at Chicago Next Showcase. And I look forward to us hearing some talent pop out of there. And then tomorrow, let's join Twista Live for Shy Gives Back. Can't wait to hear it. All right, you guys, have a good night. Be safe. I know you're not going anywhere. Stay home. Peace. Peace. Thank you.